What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle video. My name is D-Free, and for this one, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the new Tournament of Power / Universe Survival Saga Team Build. Hope you guys enjoy it. Subscribe if you're new, of course. Let's go ahead and jump into the breakdown. So, I want to say that, guys, if you have a question, in particular, if it's one about, like, if I don't have this, guys, I still get those questions despite doing exactly what I'm going to say I'm going to do for this video. I almost always cover every legitimate good option in these videos, okay? So if you don't have something and you want to know, I can't answer everybody's comment questions. I'm sorry about that. I'm just one person, and there's over 100,000 of you guys, and that's just not feasible. But, you know, that being said, just hear me out, you know, and then you have to exercise a little bit of, I don't want to say common sense because that sounds a bit harsh, but, like, you know, you have to exercise a little bit of, you know, just knowing your own personnel, right? Knowing your units. So when it comes down to that, if you don't have somebody, and I didn't cover somebody specific, because I'm not going to cover the super bottom tier options of this team, like, you know, SR Goku right here on the screen as a leader, you know what I'm saying? If I don't cover that and maybe you need to use that unit, feel free to plug them in for somebody you don't have. If you don't have any of the units, then I can't really say much about that, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just going to try to go over everything here. This is a general type of guide as if every unit was available to the person trying to build this team. Somebody like, you know, Truth, for example, he has all these units. I don't have all these units because I don't even have the damn dispo yet. So, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that, that is something you have to consider. And I just wanted to point it out. Again, I don't even have all these units yet. So, Jiren. Who better to do it than the updated Jiren? He, like, there was a bunch of other guys that could use this leader skill. That helps in terms of, you know, you maybe not having this Jiren, but still having every other unit in this category. If you're one of those people, let me know in the comments. Leave a like as well. Everybody, in fact. But there are going to be people like that, right? And if you don't have this Jiren, then, you know, the next best leader, honestly, would be Tech Jiren, offering 60% to the stats. He doesn't offer that key increase, but they all have a 3-key leader skill, or excuse me, link anyway, the Tournament of Power link. So it really isn't necessary when you have at least one unit that is able to offer you some sort of key. And if you're trying to build a solely free-to-play version of this team, I actually already did that. That wasn't a team build guide like this one. It was a full-on showcase where I showed off the Tech Jiren as a leader and stuff like that. So check that video out. In the final 20 seconds of this, feel free to skip ahead until then. You know, it'll actually have a little annotation on the screen like my videos typically do. So that being said, Jiren, 150 and 3-key to his category. Now, full disclosure, I honestly didn't even consider, and it wasn't on purpose, it wasn't just intentional. I didn't even consider STR units because he offers 3-key and 50%. Generally, I will look at that to try to see if there's a support unit that you can plug in, but I don't really think it's that big of a deal. I don't think I'm overlooking anybody drastic that really deserves to be on this team. But you know, feel free to look into it. For example, a guy like STR Godku, he could be a solid choice. The only issue with that is, you know, when it comes down to plugging in a 50% unit, there's a few things that happen. That unit individually won't hit that hard, and if it's a unit that's, you know, lacking in SA and stuff like that, it's going to really hinder that unit and your team's overall damage output. You'd probably be better running, like, you know, one of the free-to-play options for this team if you need somebody specifically to plug into that spot, regardless of how much better that STR unit technically is, you know, in stature, right? Also, you're lowering your overall max HP, generally anyway. And also that unit's not going to tank that well. So that's just kind of how things are when it comes to plugging that in. That STR, you know, secondary leader skill is just there as a last resort type of deal. So I didn't really consider it, unfortunately, but keep that in mind. That's just how things work. As far as moving forward with that, right? So Jiren is awesome. Immense damage to the enemy and greatly lowers defense. So that's very helpful. 130% attack and defensive boost on the passive, and a medium chance to stun all enemies. That ability to stun all enemies is incredibly helpful because I didn't even pay attention to it as much, and I kind of have to make sure that I do. But he can go out of the way and just kind of, like, you know, max stun everybody, and it doesn't apply later on in events. I've said that several times. I don't want to use that as a knock. It's just, it's very helpful early on in Dokkan events and stuff like that. And it's going to be incredibly good in something like, you know, Super Battle Road, right? It's really good there where they don't have the same limitations in Super Battle Road. So Jiren's awesome. And he gets a guaranteed critical hit against anybody that he stuns. So he's going to be doing increased damage against anybody that he stuns. So Jiren, again, really good unit. Cold Judgment, Shocking Speed, and Fire, Hero of Justice, Tournament of Power, Godly Power, and Fierce Battle. So moving on. How would we build out his team? Well, ideally, you would want a team that can be able to optimize Jiren, right? Jiren gets 130% and has a, you know, an increased chance at critical hitting. Either way, he's going to be critting a bit anyway, being an STR type and having that level 20 capability for critical hits. So you'd want to capitalize on Godly Power and or Infighter, Hero of Justice, and things of that nature. So when it comes to a lot of the links that Jiren has, some of them are very, very specific. Like, again, Infighter, Hero of Justice. Those are links that are very specific. So who really can satiate the need for Jiren? Because you're going to have 2 Jirens on this team, right? Ideally. And who better than the man Dispo? One of the newest units, Brisk Assault Dispo. And the thing about him, and I noticed this whenever I did my initial breakdown of these units, we just had the data mines and stuff. I was like, wait. Dispo's actually ridiculously busted. Like, seriously. Dispo has the potential, if the event is long enough, which there's not really many events that are long enough, but he has the potential anyway to be the most damaging unit on this team. Like, seriously, he's really good. Supreme damage to the enemy, and he raises his attack for 6 turns. That means he's able to get, what, if he's on rotation, 3 different types of stacks loaded up on that. So he can keep that stacking and going endlessly throughout the duration of the event. 6 turns is ridiculous for a stack mechanic like that on a super attack. Passive skill. At the start of each turn, 20% attack and a chance of evading enemies' attack plus 15%. So his dodging ability caps out at 60%. Fine, whatever. He's a great dodger. Perfect. One of the best dodgers in the game, in fact. Again, Janemba still gets power crept. If Janemba came out today, he'd have like an 80% dodge rate. He has like a freaking 25% rate. And all these units, Khalifa, everybody, UI Goku, all better. Nonetheless, so awesome dodger. His attack stat goes every turn. It says each turn, by the way. I don't know if each turn literally means when he's not even on rotation. I'm going to assume that he functions like other units with a similar type passive would, and it would be every time he shows up. If he functions every single turn, even when he's not there, that's too good. So also on top of that, he has access to Infighter, which isn't crazy good, but with 2 Jirens floating around, Dispo deserves to be on this team because that's a need that that's a link that they're both going to need. 10% attack and enemy defense minus 10%. Don't really need that secondary part, but we want that 10. Hero of Justice. This is a link that the new Topo actually removes. It's a 25% attack link. 25. That's insane. He also has Fierce Battle. That's insane. So for a grand total, he's able to link with Jiren for a grand total of 50% through links. 50. That is awesome. Seriously, like that's crazy. And not to mention they have the key, you know, shocking speed, tournament of power, guaranteed max key for both of these guys every turn. Dispo deserves to be on this team, whether you have him on or off rotation, because this team is very, very good. He deserves to be here regardless. So Dispo, right? And I can't really get into if you don't have so-and-so until we're done. But for the next option, why not move on to another AGL unit? Of course, we are going to put the man SSBE Vegeta on this team. Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Vegeta. Here's what he is. He's able to get a very, very powerful attack stat up. You know, 120 at the start of the turn. And he gets 60%. He launches 2 additional attacks, so for a grand total of 4 possible ones if you invest potential system in him. That's crazy good. He also gets 7% more defense with each attack that he does, with a maximum of a 70% cap. So that means that he can get 70% more defense on top of the 60, and then when the conditions are met, he's able to evolve. His conditions, okay? His conditions are right down here. Starting from turn 4, he has a 30% chance to become Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Vegeta evolved. Evolution, evolve, there he is right there. So he has a 30% chance after 4 turns to do this. Every turn he shows up. So right here, attack and defense plus 130%. So now he just innately gets a really high defensive boost. In fact, I believe that's the sum of what he would have gotten here anyway. Yeah, it is. So he gets that naturally. No need for needing to launch additional attacks. But speaking of additional attacks, he still launches 2, and he still has immense damage, by the way, and a chance to perform a critical hit with a plus 10% increase on the chance each time he performs an attack up to 70%. So here's the deal. Vegeta is able to crit up to 70% of the time really freaking soon. As soon as he launches his 7th attack post-transformation, he's able to do that. Again, there are no events in this game that can sustain long enough for him to get that high of a critical hit chance. But damn, that's good. Like, he really wants additionals. Like, if there was ever a unit that wanted additionals in the potential system, Vegeta is him. Like, I still don't know if you would want to give him level 15 additional, level 20 additional, but the more hits he does is awesome. Now, There is some speculation as to whether or not those are guaranteed to be normals or if they're supers, and it doesn't say, right? It just doesn't say. It just says additional attacks. So I assume that they're normal. I don't recall. Like, I've used them a couple of times. I don't recall if he launched supers or not. Forgive me, but this man's insane. There's no way if you have this unit he's not on this team. He's just incredibly good. This is an incredibly good Vegeta, and he deserves a spot. So that's 3 units down the drain. Well, down the drain, I guess, is the wrong terminology, right? But also one thing I want to point out is Vegeta, in fact, doesn't link very well at all with them. But again, this link is able to cover up a lot of issues. Like, Vegeta can be with whoever he wants, and he's going to get at least 2 links. You know, Tournament of Power and Fierce Battle. Everywhere. He can be with whoever he wants, okay? That Tournament of Power being a 3-key link was a fantastic foresight from Bandai/Akatsuki implementing that, because it allows you to run diverse teams. So, you know who's next. I mean, come on, seriously. We know who's next. We knew who was next. I kind of put him off a little bit on purpose, but to add, you know, suspense, but we know who's next. We have Ultra Instinct Saiyan Goku / Ultra Instinct Goku down here. Post-transformation, 3-key and 150% at the start of the turn. Great chance to evade enemies' attacks, so he's able to dodge almost everything. He also disables enemies' guard. Now, when this card came out, I showed off this ability, and I've shown it off with Hit. The Int Hit that's in this category as well has this ability as well. What happens is, whenever this guy is out there, or sometimes it says, like, attacked enemies get their stuff disabled, either way, he disables their guard nonetheless. So it just, whenever he's out there, right? So if you're up against a physical type opponent, naturally they would take decreased damage because this guy has the ability, or has the int typing, excuse me. So he would not hit as hard against that physical type opposition. So what happens is he's able to hit through that regardless of needing a critical hit or anything. It just does normal damage. And that also applies to everybody else on the rotation. So that's actually a pretty cool overlooked ability that this card has. So keep that in mind as well. Again, great chance to evade, attack increase, no defense increase. He's reliant on that dodge. So if he ever does get hit, he gets it actually kind of hard, to be honest. But nonetheless, he gets the attack and defense here, so it's not that big of a deal. He doesn't hit all too hard naturally until he goes ahead and transforms. And he does raise his attack each time. Now, this guy's got the transformation mechanic, of course, as well. But for him, you have to be below 50%, and it's a guarantee change. You know, not a chance like Vegeta, and I think Turles has a chance too. He was the last one that we've seen that had a guarantee change. Some of these units are getting it a little sooner, like Turles is at 80%, Vegeta's after 4 turns, yada yada. They're playing with this mechanic a lot. I still don't think they know how they really want to do it. I don't know if they're just trying to be diverse or what have you, but UI Goku is still awesome. He's honestly kind of fringe. If he's not able to transform, he's honestly kind of a fringe unit because of the fact that his damage cap, he's going to be too slow. He's not going to be hitting incredibly hard in this TUR state. Of course, I'm not saying he can't hit for 1 million damage. I'm not saying he can't hit for 2 million on a crit, whatever, right? Every unit can do that these days. So he's just not as good without the transformation, which might or might not be a big deal because this team, in its optimal scenario, is going to be really tanky. So at the very least, I don't know if he even deserves to be on rotation if he can't transform on your team. So that's one of the things to consider. But he also does have godly power, and he has, you know, he has godly power, Tournament of Power, and Fierce Battle. No First Awaken, which is why I said if you really wanted to try to run a STR type, STR Godgu would probably be the guy to go because he would fit really well on this team if he was on rotation with this Goku. But this Goku isn't your focus for this team. That's just kind of how things are. So your focus, I think full-heartedly that the Vegeta and the Jiren are better than this guy. If he can't transform, they're better. That's just what it is. Even if Vegeta can't transform, I think he's better than this Goku. I love this Goku, right? I just think Vegeta's better. Especially, like, Jiren doesn't even need transformation. He doesn't have a transformation. He's just Jiren, right? I think Jiren's the best unit on this team in a scenario where nobody can transform. But, moving on. Who's next? Alright, so we've went through 4 units. Who do you guys think is next? Let's go ahead and move on to, well, kind of alluded to it sooner. We actually have another HL unit. Dun dun dun. 3 HL units on the team. So those tech-type events, you're going to really need your UI Goku and Jiren to kind of carry things. God Goku. So he makes the team simply because he's a really good unit. Like, I didn't even consider how good this unit was initially. He raises his attack when he launches a super attack. He's able to tank very well and also output damage very well. So he makes the team. He also has the links with UI Goku, the shocking speed, the over in a flash, the Kamehameha, the godly power. He also has warrior gods with SSB Vegeta, which unfortunately Vegeta has warrior gods instead of godly power for some reason. He has prodigies and warrior gods. I mean, like, come on, bro. He needs godly power. But nonetheless, that's a 10% link that SSG can have with this Vegeta. So he basically is Vegeta's best friend on this team. They have warrior gods, they have Super Saiyan, they have Tournament of Power, and they have Fierce Battle. Like, that's another reason why he's here. Like, if you really wanted to optimize this Vegeta, he'd be on rotation with SSG Goku, and that's just how things would work. And that's one of the reasons why I decided to put him here. Otherwise, he can kind of carry his own load if he's in a position where he needs to do so. So that's my guy there, and let's move on to the next couple of options. God of Destruction Toppo. There we go. So this guy was basically Jiren's best friend I guess, Dokkan Awakening. He became God of Destruction Toppo, which is actually important to note that he changes his name, right? Supreme damage, raises allies' attack by 25% for the rotation. Of course, he would need to be in first slot for both of the other allies to take effect with that. He also picks up Fierce Battle upon Dokkan Awakening, and he has Godly Power, he has Shocking Speed, he has Tournament of Power as well. I don't think Supreme Warrior is usable on this team, but it's a 1-key link anyway. Rival Duo, I don't think that's usable here either. 35% attack and defense for all allies. All enemies lose 50% of their defense. Awesome support unit, one of the best all types support units in the game at this point. He's basically that physical Gohan, kind of like on steroids. He's basically to that team he's basically the same iteration, like, you know, what that Gohan is to that team and how he fits on that team. 35% support, physical Gohan SS2. He fits really well here in this scenario here. He's basically the same type of unit. He is Jiren's best friend in all intents of it, aside from Dispo, basically. He's Jiren's best friend, and he needs to be on this team because not only for Jiren, but everybody else who would be on the rotation is picking up that 35% attack and defense. So more tankiness, more output, and awesome unit. That's all I can really say about Toppo, but here's where things get a little funny. Final unit I actually chose was the other Toppo. That's funny to me, I know, but it is what it is. The reason I chose the other Toppo is just because of the Hero of Justice link and the 30%. 30% passive was really good. Now, he can easily be changed for the free-to-play Kale, and the thing about free-to-play Kale is she's really freaking good. Like, she's an incredible support unit, but she only works on this team. She's only good for this team. 2-key and 30%. You know, and she has Super Saiyan, so if you need it for Vegeta or whatever, she can be that off-rotation unit that can activate that link for him. And she's really good as well. So that's my team. That's the way I chose it. So let me go ahead and show you a few options now that we've kind of finished it off. So in the following order, I would rank these units as far as like viability on this team. If you do not have Jiren, you would sub out Jiren for Tech Jiren. That's just that simple because you need that good leader skill. And you would take an STR Jiren friend, right? Kale, like I said, can go in that last slot for Toppo, and you'd be fine from there. You know, otherwise, you'd want Physical Kale, because Physical Kale is really, really good. Huge damage output, huge damage potential, 150% leader skill, supports flying all over the place. The issue with this character and with Khalifa and with Kefla, who are all on this list I'm about to tell you guys, is that they don't have attack links. I mean, she literally only has key links and one attack link that's never usable. Berserk is never usable in this scenario. In fact, I'm pretty sure if Int Kale doesn't have it, it's literally never usable. Int Kale doesn't have it, so it's actually never usable. She doesn't have Super Saiyan, which is annoying, but no Fierce Battle. Nothing. She's going to output like a madman, though. 120 additional attacks, great chance of it being a super, which is why I think Vegeta gets normal attacks, by the way. You know, she's going to output ridiculous, but that's an issue with these characters. That's why she's at the top of my replacement list. If you don't have, you know, SSB Vegeta, put her in the team. If you don't have, you know, UI Goku, put her in the team instead. So on and so forth. So that's how this list is going to shake out. Next on my list is going to be Kefla, and the reason I choose Kefla is because she's a little bit of the best of both worlds. I actually really enjoy the Khalifa variant as the AGL Khalifa, but Kefla is really good. She's able to be offense, defense, and additional attacks and stuff, so she's my next one in the list. I think that for this team, Kale's better because you don't really need the intangibles, to be honest, that Kefla has, assuming you have units like Dispo and Jiren. They're able to soak up most of the damage anyway. Vegeta too. Like, this is a very tanky team, which is why I was talking about UI Goku the way I was earlier, because naturally this team has a lot of defensive potential. Like, they're not going to get hurt very much, and I don't know how often you'll be able to, honestly, without forcing UI Goku to get below 50% HP for that transformation, I just don't know how often you'd be able to do it, right? So it just kind of is what it is, but I'm not going to tell you to drop UI Goku, you know what I'm saying? That's UI Goku. So in that slot right there, I would definitely put her there. And then honestly, not far behind is AGL Khalifa. She's incredibly good post awakening. It's just the reason with her is that she kind of feels like, in fact, she is a wannabe Dispo. Like, she's Dispo but worse, right? And that's not a bad thing. She's really good. She's a dodger. She's a damage outputter. She increases her defense, so she's going to be a really good defensive viable unit. That's something that, you know, Dispo doesn't necessarily have. He's not that great of a defensive unit, so if he has to get hit, for example, he's going to take quite a bit of damage depending on the orb investment. So that's something I didn't want to overlook with Dispo, but totally did when I was going over him. Also, she can counter super attacks with a tremendous modifier, which is the hardest hitting counterattacks in the game. So she can counter and she can dodge, and she can dodge and counter in once. But again, Dispo, he just kind of blows her out of the water. I mean, he has more attack links. He's just better for the team in general, and that's why I kind of put her lower on the list. I also didn't want to have too many AGL units, assuming that you have all the AGL units, but you didn't have like something like, the Int UI Goku, for example. So that's why she's a little bit lower on the list, but she's not too far behind Kefla, because the thing about Kefla, Kale, and Khalifa is they're all incredibly middling, but the reason why Kale is at the smack dab top of my list is because Kale is actually literally one of the top, like, 3 or 4 hardest hitting units in this category. But I had to drop her for intangibles such as making it a bit more consistent for the team. But I can't deny, again, that the team has a 3-key link across the board. Kale was the hardest hitter on this team prior to this week, where all these units dropped the awakening. She was the hardest hitter, including Jiren, unawakened. So that can't be overstated, which is why she is at the top of my list. And honestly, I love me some UI Goku, but I can't. I can't. If I can't transform, you know what I'm saying? Somebody's gonna get mad at that. Actually, you know what? I totally forgot. In between Kefla and Khalifa was Frieza. And I actually totally slept on Frieza just now, accidentally. The reason why Frieza is in that spot and not on my optimal team was, for one, Frieza himself is just, he's good, but like, come on now. He's best in his own team. He's not super good here. He's an incredible unit. I would definitely run him if you're missing anybody, right? Definitely deserves a spot on the team. 15% hurts, though. That hurts. And it's not as simple as saying, oh, well, he gives it back with Fierce Battle. It's not. That's not how the game calculates. This calculates separately from this. It's not the same amount, right? So even if it was the same amount, like in the perfect world where if it was the same amount, it doesn't necessarily matter because it's still a detriment to 2 other units, right? He's not giving back everybody 40% attack to where it's still a net positive, right? Unless your team is so bad that he's able to output enough damage to where your team comes out doing more damage despite or in spite the negative 15% that he gives, then it's not a good thing, ever, and there's no way to justify it, and that's just how it is. He's not meant to be run with hero units, and that's just the reality of this unit, and that's always been the case. And the higher the leader skill buff, the worse it is, because they're actually going to have more attack. So, yeah, Frieza's in the spot there. I totally forgot him, my bad. Other than that, the list goes as follows. Ribrianne, the physical Ribrianne. I'm not considering STR because she needs to be on a Peppy Gals category for the most part. And then the tech free-to-play Kaba, awesome unit. He's in that spot there. The tech 17 and 18 would be in the next couple of slots. They'd need to be run together. Then the free-to-play Khalifa would be there because she's really good nonetheless. She's able to use what she needs to use on an alternative power team instead of being on a Peppy Gals team. So, for example, here's the deal. You can actually sub this Khalifa in the AGL Khalifa spot if your STR Khalifa happens to be 100% and your AGL one is below like 60%. This one's actually a better unit, so keep that in mind too. Otherwise, the AGL one is just far and away better mathematically. Other than that, you know, Int Hit is a good option, and everybody else is below that. UI Goku, everyone else is in that same scenario as Int Hit. That's just how I wanted to break this down. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Any disagreements, that's fine. I want to have a discussion with you guys. So let me know. Have an awesome day. Take it easy, guys.